Hi, I am pretty excited about this. This is my first video blog or vlog, and I guess I'm talking about my Cup of Culture project. I selected to do an experience for my Cup of Culture project, and the experience that I chose is the National Mexican Museum of Art. Here in the city, there's so much to do in Chicago. There's so much to do, and when you roll in work and other activities, school in my case, you don't get a chance to visit some places as often as you would like to. And so I found this a great opportunity to do something and to see an exhibit that I haven't seen in years. So I was very excited to do this project. The National Mexican Museum of Art was actually given the national status, I'd say about 10 years ago. I visited it several times before, but it was a very big honor. And it's located at 1852 West 19th Street, and that's in Chicago. And it's located in a primarily Hispanic Mexican neighborhood that we call Pilsen, the Pilsen area. So if you ever get the chance to come to Chicago, I would highly recommend checking out the museum and then just kind of hanging out in the area, especially if it's a summer. Lots of local street food vendors. There was an ice cream man that was a peleteria, I think is what he's called. That was hanging out in front of the museum when I went to visit in October. But some great local restaurants with truly authentic Mexican meals. So I guess with that, I'll get right off into my experience. Well, I chose this topic for a couple of reasons. The first one is, of course, it showcases a culture very different than mine, in case you can't tell. But you'd be surprised. One of the exhibits I did see at the museum several a while ago was the African influence in Mexican, or and how African slaves were brought in the very southern parts of Mexico and wound up living in the mountains. And as a matter of fact, my husband is Mexican and he's from the state of Oaxaca, and a lot of his friends are much darker than I am, and it's attributed to the African influence in Mexico. So I guess I kind of cheated considering the fact my husband is Mexican, but not really. There's always something new to learn. And the second reason I selected this topic and this experience, if you will, is that the topic of the experience, which is the Day of the Dead exhibit, which is what I saw, or Dia de los Muertos, it showcases a part of life that so many cultures look as being a sad occasion, and that's death. And but the Hispanic or the Mexican culture, they actually celebrate death, and they're celebrating the dead people, on their anniversaries, but they're doing it with parties and complete with decorations and extravagant meals, the flowers, if you will. So they are going all out to celebrate their ancestors and their loved ones at what is typically considered one of the saddest occasions in anyone's life. So those are the two reasons that I picked it. But on a more personal note, I chose this exhibit because I feel like in going to see it, it kind of brought my life full circle. The first time I saw this exhibit was in 1988. I was a college freshman at Loyola University, and I attended the exhibit again as a cultural experience for a Spanish class I was taking. But this time when I visited the exhibit back in October, it's a cultural experience again, but I'm at the end of my college career, finally. So you can do the math and figure out how old I am. But I'm just glad to be at this point in my life. It's something that's taken a while, and just glad to get it over. A couple more semesters, 2 more semesters. But again, so this experience meant a lot more than just the cultural side for me. So what did I like about the exhibit? I absolutely love the exhibit because it involves a lot of local artists as well as some international artists. And it totally integrated a lot of the current events. Some of the exhibits included the Black Lives Matter, where you saw you saw portraits of those people who had been killed by police officers. There were pictures or exhibits of police who had been killed by for whatever reason or how, whether it was just by individuals, whether it was in the line of duty. And then there was an exhibit the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, and it was absolutely beautiful because there were pictures of every single victim, but it highlighted the LBGQT or TQ community in such a colorful light. It was just a very beautiful exhibit on the Pulse nightclub, and there were tons of different things that I saw that, of course, I didn't see 28 years ago, but just very creative. I mean, it's nice to see how art evolves and to see how exhibits change. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this was the 30th year for the exhibit. Things I didn't like. I went on a weekday in the morning, and there were lots of students, so grade and high school students. So it was pretty loud, as you can imagine. And so I couldn't be as reflective as I wanted to be. The museum is small. It's not like the Museum of Science and Industry, if you've ever been, where you're walking for days. It is very small, so it was easy to be crowded. No, to be crowded in a certain space. However, again, I highly recommend it if you ever visit Chicago. It is, to me, one of the best free things to do in the city. And again, just kind of hang out in the neighborhood, check out some of the local restaurants, and just close your day down that way. It's not far from downtown, so if you're downtown, just jump on a train or take a quick Uber ride over, and trust me, you will enjoy it. Thanks so much for listening.